I'm Brendan Gulick. Welcome to Buckeye Breakdown. Let's talk about the defense, specifically the defensive line. You know, we've been a little bit critical, I think is probably a fair way to say it, a little bit critical of the defensive end play this year. Some bright spots for sure from guys like Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau. Haven't necessarily seen what we hoped or expected with all the hype around Zach Harrison and Tyreek Smith, Javonte Jean-Baptiste. Obviously, Tyler Friday's not available this year. The defensive end play has been fine, but it hasn't been elite. And yet last week, finally, a 9-sack, 12-tackle for loss performance for the Buckeyes that largely came from their interior defensive linemen led by Haskell Garrett. Antoine Jackson played well. Even Mike Hall came in for his first game and came up with a big play late. When you look at Rutgers' offensive front, what's your anticipation of what you think the Buckeye defensive line could do this weekend?
The Buckeye defensive line is going to eat inside. I mean, this is a Haskell Garrett game. I know, like last week, he probably played his most dominant game he's played as an Ohio State Buckeye in recent memory. And people forget he's a preseason All-American. This is a great player inside as a defensive tackle who's come back to, really improve not only his draft stock, but also help his family from that standpoint. And I think you're going to see him really penetrate inside. This game's going to get funneled to the defensive ends because they're going to try to run some stretch stuff instead of their traditional inside zone and gap scheme runs that they've been doing. Kind of similar. You're going to see a run game similar to what Ohio State does. And I think one of the things that's interesting, and this is not to look back at Ohio State, but Ohio State's running more gap scheme runs than inside zone. Inside zone's been kind of the bread and butter. The inside zone and the mid to outside zone play have been the bread and butter of the offense for the Buckeyes. They only ran, I believe, inside zone 8 times last week against the Akron Zips. Really, and I don't know if it was a buster for their tendencies, but for fans outside, they ran a play called Duo, which is a bunch of different combo blocks. You're trying to get as many double teams as possible on it, and the Buckeyes ran a lot of that against Akron last week, and also because of the odd front. They're going to see a split front this week, meaning 4 down guys against Rutgers. So the same will be said for the Rutgers guys. They're going to play against a 4 down front. They're going to try to get to their inside zone package early and try to get the ball rolling. But I think realistically, because of the defensive tackles being so stout inside for the Buckeyes, it's going to funnel really to those defensive ends. You're not going to see a lot of sack opportunities for these guys this weekend, so don't expect another barrage of sacks. But really where the Buckeye defensive line is going to have to play is on the other side of the line of scrimmage with a lot of tackles for loss, where Zach Harrison can make plays, from that standpoint, and really kind of let him to adjust. I talked about it last week. He went against a really formidable left tackle for Akron in Xavier Gray. When you go back and watch the film again, those two had a great battle on Saturday. He's going to go against another group of offensive linemen that aren't the most athletic guys in the world. Rutgers O-line's good. They're not great. And really, Ohio State's going to have to play on that side of the line of scrimmage to really alleviate that stress on those linebackers that we've been so critical of for the past 4 weeks.